Hi there, Karen here, with of course Whiskey Sour, my buddy. I hope you guys are doing really great. Things are fine here. A little bit crazy, a little bit frenzied with the deadlines coming up, but it's all just taking it in stride, just doing what I can one day at a time. I wrote a blog today called, "Is Your World Spiraling Out of Control?" And this only applies to me. Nobody else has ever gone through this. It's kind of how you can feel when your world is supposedly spiraling out of control. But as it turns out, a lot of people go through it. But as it turns out, the world isn't spinning, I am. When I feel like things are out of control, it's usually me spinning out of control. That was a very funny realization I came to not that long ago. It essentially goes against the laws of nature, but it's meant to be more, obviously, metaphorical. I don't actually think the world is perfectly still and doing nothing. In fact, the world is working in a frenzied state as well, all the time, but it doesn't really offer up anything too unpredictable overall. I hear people say this a lot, that, oh, the world's so unpredictable. Not really. Like, there's cause and effect going on with everything if you think about it. I think what happens is the agendas can be a little bit different. When I think about how the world operates, it operates in such a way to continue its existence with all the necessary volcanic eruptions and crazy weather patterns and all that stuff that goes on. But it isn't out to actually get me or to test me. As it turns out, it doesn't care. It really just doesn't. It isn't on the same wave of thought that I am, and it doesn't actually have a personal agenda to see me fail. Now, people, on the other hand, are full of agendas, conflicting agendas, selfish agendas, hateful hearts. There's people looking out for number one all the time, in a bad way, in a very negative way. It's easy to think, therefore, that the world or the people in the world are out to get me, or that a big spirit in the sky is trying to test me. It's easy, and it seems reasonable to start thinking that way. Now, the thing about being chased, if you really think that somebody's out to get you, if you don't want to be caught, you will find ways to not be caught. If you have it set in your mind, you will not be caught. Your instinct kicks in, you won't be caught. And if someone tries to anger us, and we don't allow it, we just simply do not allow it, we can't be angered. We are not in control of the world or people in it, but I do believe we have control over one thing, and that is our reaction. Sometimes our reaction just happens, and it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? But for the most part, we do have control over that, how we react to situations, and how we act then accordingly. How we react to being punched is the key to surviving the hit. If you've ever taken any kind of martial arts class or just a self-defense class or something like that, you'll know there's a fine art in learning how to block someone's hit. There is an art to doing it. You can kind of diagnose it, you can see where it's coming from, you can understand the source, and then you can kind of learn how to take that hit. But you also learn how to fall if you have taken a really bad one. It covers the bases, like a lot of those classes do. Now, the smart thing would obviously be to not walk in some dark alley where a gunman is going to be waiting for you. I mean, it's just kind of, sometimes we put ourselves in these situations. But in the event that you wind up there, and it's like, okay, here I am in the dark alley, whatever, you kind of have to be equipped to defend yourself and fall elegantly in order to not break anything, you know. Sometimes stuff happens so fast we can't even think about all that, and we get hit, and then we have to learn how to recover. That's a different topic. But the world, however, has been known to break into our homes. You know, the place where we think we have peace, the place where we're just minding our own business. Our spirits should be prepared for that too. We've got to somehow get our spirits up to speed so that when these storms come, we can handle them. The thing I'm learning, especially lately, with all my technology, which is, you know, what I rely on for work, is breaking down or shifting. I call it shifting. It's just like it, because it wants to go on its own course. It's the only way to come to a solution is to be perfectly calm. I have to, if I don't remain calm, it's not going to go well. I have to incorporate very systematic solutions with everything that goes wrong, one by one, and I have to have, and this is the big key with me, I have to attach zero emotion. Like none. I cannot get emotionally involved in my broken computer or whatever's going on. As soon as we allow our emotions to spin out of control, we just added a problem on top, to the top of the list and to the top of the pile, which will not allow any other problem to get fixed until that one's fixed. And it will always be number one on that list until we can get it fixed. When we become emotional over some massive snag that happens in our life, it's imperative to get a rein on that first, so that it doesn't cloud the intelligent judgment which is needed to come up with that solution. This is what I found. I see this in too many places where real problems have been replaced by emotions which not only get in the way of the solution, but they actually amplify the problem. They actually make it worse to a level where we can't even begin to find a solution, and we quit caring about a solution. That's hard. And then the problem becomes absolutely insurmountable. Generally, solution-oriented people are not overwhelmed. This is what I've learned about the people that are around me that are just really solution-oriented. I don't think they have less work to do than I do, but I think they are less overwhelmed. They might be overworked, but they're not utterly snowed under by everything that's going on. And the biggest hurdle that I've had to do is gain a different perspective of my own environment. I've talked about how my dad used to fly way above the farm, and he would say that certain problems were just not problems if he couldn't see them from hundreds of feet. That's perspective. That is literally perspective. When satellite images zoom way out from our kitchen table, you know how I've said that before, I think we gain perspective of our place in the whole universe, not just our place in this neighborhood or in our apartment or our house or whatever. And we actually get a universal perspective with that kind of technology. And when you stand 1 foot away from your art, you cannot gain perspective until you stand 15 feet back. It's very much like when I mentioned about when I was cutting hair. When I was a hairstylist for many years. And I would have to stand by. Oh, you never know from my hair right now, by the way. Awful. That's what the hats are for. Have you ever seen me wearing hats? But I could tell if my cut was straight. If I was doing a man's haircut and it needed to be a straight line across the back, or a woman's bob where it had to be a really, really straight line. I couldn't tell until I stood way back. So that's all of that is perspective. And this is really difficult to do when we are hurting or if we are being hunted or attacked. When things are going on in real time and it's coming at you really quickly, unless that gunman is on a roof like a block away from you, there's a chance that you have to fight off an attacker who's within inches of your face. Like they're right here, and you have to somehow figure out, how am I going to gain perspective, without my eyes starting to cross on this situation. It's difficult to gain a wider perspective when they're that close. How do we do this? Oh, geez, I have no idea. Were you waiting for an answer on that? I would suspect we have to react in such a way that makes it seem like the problem is smaller or farther away. We have to, it's like the objects in the rearview mirror. We somehow have to make the problem appear smaller or farther away so that we can get control of it, we can get the reins on it. And gaining a perspective inside us that could be one size fits all seems unreasonable, but maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need to come to some kind of perspective that encompasses anything that could come at us. And perspective is something that a lot of people learn over time, unfortunately. It's not even something that they teach you in school. But I think if I can apply act accordingly, if I can apply that instead of react quickly, that might be a good starting place. And maybe the best combo is act quickly or react accordingly. I don't know, but it's definitely a good starting point. Has been for me, anyways. All in all, I think the thing which seems to be working for me so far, and I always say so far because holy crap, tomorrow it could be completely different reaction then, is to detach this emotional aspect altogether. Just get rid of it. If I have a task to do, I need to do it without adding any emotional strain. That whole action is the antidote to despair works for me, absolutely. It rings really loudly in my ears. Generally, life has a huge list of complications, hurdles, jobs, tasks, and it will always, always, always be this way. It will always be this way. As long as you're on the earth, these things are going to attack you. These things are going to happen. These things are going to come at you. There's going to be obstacles, hurdles, jobs, all these things. I believe we can get to the first job that's on that list. Whatever the task is, we can finally get to that first job if we remove the emotional strain that we are adding to the pile. That's my theory anyways. Get really, 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 really upset. Get that off the list. It's like that is not a task. that is a hurdle you are adding. And nothing else will ever fall into place when that is taking the number one position on our list of things to do. It doesn't have the ability to be at number 8. Get really, really worried. It's really hard to shove it down to number 8 or number 10 or whatever. You kind of have to ditch it before you start on the tasks and the hurdles that are thrown at us. I signed off today loving systematically because I think there is something to be said about not getting rid of all our emotions in situations, but to do them in some semblance of order, with a clear head, and just systematically, one by one, go through these tasks. I signed off also with a Wayne Dyer quote where he said, "It makes no sense to worry about things you have no control over because there's nothing you can do about them. And why worry about things you do control? The activity of worrying keeps you immobilized." Oh my gosh, what a great quote. So smart. It completely keeps us immobilized, this sense of worry. And we are living in times where action is required. Now, sometimes we do need to sit in peace and think. That's great. But thinking is a whole lot different than worrying. Coming up with solutions or just sitting in peace is very different than being stressed out and worrying. So I love that Wayne Dyer quote. So I thought I'd share that with you guys today, and of course I will check in with you tomorrow, okay? From Whiskey Sour and me, till next time, rock on.